In 2010, a single finger bone smaller than a paperclip rewrote human history. Scientists couldn't see this species, couldn't sketch them, couldn't even prove they existed. Until DNA told a story that fossils never could. For nearly a decade, the world's top geneticists studied these ancient humans. They mapped their genome, sequenced their lineage. Yet they couldn't answer one simple question. What did they actually look like? Then an AI did something that stunned the scientific community. In 3 weeks, it reconstructed a face that scientists had failed to imagine for years. But here's what nobody talks about. The AI got something wrong. And what it got wrong may prove something even more unsettling about our own origins. This is the story of the Denisovans, and the machine that beat science to the truth. Deep in the Altai Mountains of Siberia sits a cave. It's called Denisova, named after a hermit who lived there in the 18th century. For decades, archaeologists ignored it. Just another dig site. Just another cave. Then in 2008, Russian researchers found something unusual, a tiny fragment of bone, no bigger than a coffee bean. They assumed it belonged to a Neanderthal or an early modern human. They were wrong. When scientists at the Max Planck Institute extracted DNA from that bone, they found something that didn't match any known human species. This wasn't Neanderthal. This wasn't Homo sapiens. This was someone new. They called them the Denisovans, a ghost species. An entire branch of humanity discovered not through skulls or skeletons, but through invisible strands of ancient genetic code. And this is where the mystery deepened. Because unlike Neanderthals, we had almost no Denisovan bones. A finger, a jawbone found in Tibet, a few teeth, that's it. No complete skull, no pelvis. Nothing that could tell us what these people actually looked like. It was like finding a signature without a face. For years, scientists tried everything. They compared Denisovan DNA to Neanderthals, to modern humans, to ancient populations across Asia and Oceania. They found traces of Denisovan ancestry in people living today. Melanesians carry up to 6% Denisovan DNA. Some Tibetan populations inherited a gene that helps them survive at high altitudes directly from Denisovans. But physical appearance, that remained locked. Traditional genetics can tell you ancestry. It can reveal disease risk. It can even estimate hair and eye color. But reconstructing a face from DNA alone, that was considered impossible. Here's why. A face is not built by one gene. It's shaped by thousands of genetic interactions. Bone density, cartilage structure, fat distribution, muscle attachment. No algorithm could decode that complexity. At least that's what we believed. Then something changed. A team of researchers in Israel decided to try something radical. They stopped looking at the genes themselves and started looking at how genes were turned on and off. This is called DNA methylation, and it would unlock a door that science couldn't open. In 2019, a study was published that shocked the paleogenetics community. Researchers at Hebrew University used machine learning to analyze Denisovan DNA methylation patterns. They trained their AI on thousands of modern human genomes, then on Neanderthal data, then on chimpanzees. The AI learned something humans couldn't. It learned how methylation patterns predict anatomy. Every gene has an on-off switch. When certain genes are silenced, faces change. Brow ridges grow, jaws widen, skulls flatten. The AI mapped these connections, built a predictive model, then applied it to the Denisovan genome. And for the first time in history, a machine imagined a face that no human had ever seen. Wide skull, low forehead, prominent jaw, long dental arch. It looked something like a Neanderthal, but not quite. More robust, more archaic, almost alien in its proportions. And here's what made headlines. When scientists later discovered a Denisovan jawbone in Tibet, they compared it to the AI's prediction. 80% accuracy. The machine learning model had predicted anatomical features before physical evidence was found. A computer had essentially traveled back in time. Now let me ask you something. If an AI can reconstruct the face of an extinct human from genetic code alone, what else is hidden in your DNA that we haven't decoded yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. But here's what the headlines didn't mention. The AI wasn't perfect. When it predicted the Denisovans' skull width, it was accurate. When it estimated the jaw's forward projection, it was accurate. But when it predicted soft tissue features, the skin, the nose, the lips, it faltered. And this is where the mystery turns uncomfortable, because we don't know what we don't know. DNA methylation can predict bone shape, but soft tissue is governed by environmental factors, nutrition, climate, even altitude. The Denisovans lived across a vast geographic range: Siberia, Tibet, Southeast Asia. Their faces may have varied dramatically depending on where they lived. So the AI gave us one face, but there may have been dozens, and there's something else. Some scientists now believe the AI model overcorrected for Neanderthal features. Because Neanderthal data was more complete, the model leaned on it heavily. Which means the Denisovan reconstruction might look more Neanderthal than it should. We might be looking at a composite ghost, a face built from borrowed data, and that raises a troubling question. If this method becomes standard, are we reconstructing the past, or are we inventing it? Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. There's a quiet competition unfolding in ancient DNA research. On one side, traditional paleontologists, they dig, they analyze, they publish carefully. On the other, computational biologists and AI teams, they move fast, they build models, they generate results before the fossils are found. Neither side admits they're racing, but they are. Because whoever controls the narrative of human origins controls the textbooks, the funding, the prestige. The Denisovan AI study wasn't just a scientific breakthrough, it was a statement. The machines are catching up, and some scientists aren't happy about it. Critics argue that AI-generated reconstructions create false certainty. That the public sees a face and assumes we know what Denisovans looked like. We don't. We have a hypothesis, rendered beautifully, but still a guess. And yet that guess was more accurate than anything human researchers had produced in a decade. So who really solved the Denisovan mystery? Scientists found the bones. They extracted the DNA. They built the databases, but the AI connected the dots. Maybe the answer is neither solved it alone. Maybe the answer is we're just getting started. Here's why this matters beyond history. The same techniques used to reconstruct Denisovans are now being applied to living humans. Forensic scientists use AI methylation analysis to predict criminal suspects' faces from crime scene DNA. Medical researchers are predicting disease risk from genetic expression patterns. Some companies are exploring personalized health plans based on how your genes are switched on or off. The Denisovans were a test case. We are the next chapter. And if AI can reveal the face of an extinct species from a tiny bone fragment, what else can it see in us? What parts of you are already written in your code? Here's my question for you. Do you think AI-generated reconstructions should be trusted as science or labeled as speculation? Let me know your answer in the comments. And tell me this, would you want an AI to reconstruct your face from your DNA alone? If this story gripped you, share it with someone who loves ancient mysteries. And if you haven't seen our video on the DNA discovery that rewrote Native American origins, you're missing a piece of this puzzle. It connects directly to what we just uncovered. Because the Denisovans didn't just vanish, their genes are still walking the earth in ways we're only beginning to understand.